Hello, welcome to the Afrocentric Woman. Hope that you're doing great. Thank you so much for tuning in. Um, Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I wanted to come on here and give you all a bit of just a kind of an update about where I'm at in life a little bit and what I've been having going on. I've been a little quiet, but I've been busy. Um, and so I figured I would come on. I've been wanting to come on, just trying to find the time. And I guess the main time that we really have to talk is when I need to fold up laundry. I'm looking at something that looks like it got makeup on it and it's not like super clean. Oh, child, I don't know that this washing machine is really doing what it needs to do. But I wanted to tell y'all that lately I have been looking at a few things in my life. I've been looking at a few things, I've been discovering a few things, and just taking some time to be introspective with a lot of stuff. So I'll give you a little bit of an update of something that kind of helped to catapult this introspection, as well as it just being the new year. Towards the end of last year, I did begin to look at this year. What do I want to do? What do I want to focus on? And where I'm at, and things like that. Another thing that really um, catapulted this introspection was, if you've listened to my channel for a while, you know that I have been dealing with who I call my main guy on and off for like the past year or so. Anyway, one day, kind of like out of the blue, um, kind of caught me off guard, but he asked me if I wanted more children. His kids are grown. And I was like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I really haven't decided yet. But I mean, I think it was really, the answer is yes. Like if I do meet someone and I'm able to get married, um if I get married in enough time for me to have more children, I would like to have one or two more children. I'm getting older, so I've always kind of just held that, like, it may happen, it might not happen. I've got my one kid, if not, whatever. But I don't know. I'm moving towards just kind of just being more clear about what I want and not so wishy-washy about it, thinking that, oh, it's not possible, it's never going to happen. Like it could happen. And there's plenty of moms around me who've had children in their late 30s and early 40s. So I know it's possible if all the things line up. Of course, I would never ever, and I knew from I knew from the moment I had my daughter, I would never ever 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 have a child by myself again, because it is just too difficult and too challenging. So I knew that immediately. Even as a pick me, I knew that I would never do that. So that's that. So anyway, some other things have happened, um just other things, and just kind of drifting apart. And anyway, so he was just kind of like, you know what, I think we, are have reached the end of the rope. Those aren't the exact words, but something along those lines. And I really didn't respond to it because, when he told me that, I was literally getting dressed to go on a date with another guy anyway. You know what I mean? So I think energetically, and I've always kind of known, and I've never wanted to put my all of my eggs in one basket. Um, am I capable of monogamy? Yep, I sure am. Have done it before successfully, and I can do it. But the cost of monogamy from me has increased significantly, and I would never willy-nilly give monogamy to anybody just because their name is whatever it is. So, so that's that. Yeah, it was very ironic that as I'm getting this information about the relationship not going on any further, I'm getting dressed to go on a date with another guy. Who was I gonna go meet that day? I don't remember. I'll have to look at my phone and see where I was going and who I was going to meet. I don't remember who I was gonna go meet, but I know I was on my way to a date. I was literally, like, just finishing my makeup. I think I was, like, putting my finishing spray on and stuff like that. I was literally, like, about to go somewhere. But regardless of that, regardless of the fact that I wasn't fully, like, had all my eggs in one basket, it was still kind of hurtful and still kind of, um, what would be the word? Um, I don't know, like a setback or just kind of like, that's unfortunate because I will say this, like, I wanted him to get his act together and give me the things that I wanted, but that just didn't happen. And because it wasn't happening, I could just never, um, I could never fully commit to the situation. I just didn't have what I would consider the necessary elements for me to do so. So that is that. And I think also, what is probably maybe the more wise and mature thing to do is the fact that he is older, his kids are grown. He definitely does not want any more children. I don't even think he wants to deal with little kids, honestly. And it's interesting because like sometimes I'll talk to older guys. I have this other older guy I'm talking to now, and he told me that he took his daughter, like he and his daughter will like go out to a bar and like have a glass of wine or have a drink or whatever. And his son is about to turn 21, I think next month, and he's taking him to some type of special event. I don't know if it's like Oktoberfest or something. Oh, this is baking soda. That's probably what's on these freaking clothes. And I put the clothes on an extra rinse and it still did not get all this baking soda off. I like to add a little baking soda to my laundry to give it like a little extra fresh boost. But anywho, so anyway, yeah, he's gonna take his son to some type of special event and like when he turns 21 and have a drink with them and stuff like that. So he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad my kids are." He was like, "I'm so glad my kids are older. I'm so glad they're out of this little kid phase." And I've heard a lot of older guys say that. Like, you would really be surprised how many guys do not like little kids. I can't necessarily say I'm the biggest fan of little kids myself, but I just don't think I could bring myself to actually articulate that out of my mouth. Like, I don't like little kids. But they have absolutely no problem saying that they really did could barely stand their kids when they were really small and prefer them to be like self-sufficient, like 13, 14 and up. But anywho, so yeah, so main guy, he really does not like the little kid phase of life and definitely does not want any more children. I have a little kid, so um there's just all kinds of, I think, challenges with that. Um, and I think also the the demand or the expectation of what I should be doing and um, my requirements for me to do the things that would be asked of me to do. It just wasn't lining up. It wasn't lining up. Now, on the positive side of all of this, it was not devastating. It was sad, I had shed a few tears eventually. It took me a while to shed those tears. I'm glad I did. It took a while for that to happen. But I'm glad I did. But it was not devastating. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point of a lot of what I've tried to um, instill on this channel and teach on this channel is to like not end up in these drama filled, horrible relationships with men who don't care about you and who are only, using you and exploiting you and are not investing in you, who just couldn't give two shits about you. That's who I've been saying avoid, and that's exactly what I did. That's exactly who I avoided. And that isn't to say that every single relationship is going to end up in marriage or this or that, but the whole goal is to date in a way that you can experience, a better side of life and learn something about yourself and enjoy yourself and be around someone who values you, someone who appreciates you, someone who cherishes you. Um even if it's for a brief moment, even if it's for a few months or a few days or one date, just one date, you could still be cherished on that one date. You understand what I'm saying? So I was happy about that. Um, Now, what I learned, through this whole uh, process, or what I was led to kind of explore through this and a few other incidents, is that I really just needed to kind of examine, excuse me, my own attachment style. I had I had convinced myself that I had a secure attachment style. I was pretty sure that I did. And I had a hard time relating to some of the information out there about trauma bonding, about trauma responses and things like that, because of the way it looks on me is very, very, very quiet and very subdued. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not having a trauma response. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not triggered in some kind of way. It looks different from me because I really don't rage out, or excuse me, I don't have any crazy addictions. I don't my life is not in shambles. Um I'm not in abusive relationships and things like that. So, it looks like maybe I have it all together and everything's fine, but still I've been kind of knowing, like, no, I'm surely I'm not at the mountaintop. Like, this can't be the pinnacle of all things. Like, I still think I have more work to do. I just really wasn't sure what the work was. In hindsight, I'm glad that I stayed curious, and I'm glad that I stayed open. Um, I need some water. Let me see if I can get my water bottle. I'm glad that I stayed curious, and I'm glad that I stayed open to the possibility that there was more out there. There was still more to learn, more to do, more to uncover, more to discover, more to heal, because I think I'm getting closer to that, or at least for this particular phase in life that I'm in. What I learned was that my attachment style is not as secure as I thought it was, and it's actually pretty anxious, actually. I just don't always act on the anxiety. Um, but that doesn't mean I'm not having it. And that's what I really learned. And actually I'm a little bit avoidant too. I'm a little bit anxious and I'm a little bit avoidant. I've kind of got a mixture. If there were one that were dominating the other, I'm probably a little bit more anxious than I am avoidant, but I do have some avoidant tendencies for sure. And what I'm getting clear about this year, and it took me a while to even definitively say it, and I think I've said it on this channel, like, I do intend to be married. I don't know why it took me so long to say that, but it really did. It took me a long time to say that. And what I've learned through looking at this trauma work, that a lot of childhood survivors of trauma have a hard time declaring that they want marriage. So I'm really not that weird, or I'm not like other people who are survivors of childhood trauma. They also had that problem, or they also have that challenge that I had. So it's kind of, comforting to know that I'm not alone in my, struggle to declare that. And I think also, probably on top of all of that, is that, in this community that we come out of, marriage is kind of downplayed, and oh, it's just a piece of paper, you really don't need it, that kind of a thing. So I've kind of had a lot of different things working towards me having that struggle, to definitively articulate that. But I think it's really hard to achieve anything in your life if you don't boldly declare and be focused on exactly what you're doing. Now, when I look at the relationship with the main guy, and I can really look and see. how I really kind of insinuated a lot of things and kind of hoped for some stuff or, you know, hinted around some things, but didn't really definitively declare, a lot of stuff, especially exactly where I was trying to go or like what I wanted to do. And I think that, the pendulum can swing too far from one side to the other. So on this one side, it's just kind of like you don't want to be in a position where you are strong arming someone to do what you want them to do or coercing them or giving them some kind of ultimatum to do what it is that you want them to do, because if someone's going to commit to you or give you anything, you want it to be genuine, you want it to be from the heart, you want it to be truly their desire. That's one side of it, but then also you don't want to enter into a situation where you're not clearly saying, checking in like, "Hey, this is where my head is. This is where I want to go. Are you there?" You know what I mean? So just understanding that there is a middle ground, there is a place in the middle of expressing where you are and what your intentions are and what you're looking for and what you're willing to accept versus, just kind of going all in and just kind of laying it in on someone and just kind of making a situation that is just not organically developing or whatever the case may be. So that's just definitely something that I discovered and am just work just kind of working that out in my mind about how exactly the logistics of communicating these things you know to a potential partner, especially for someone who's secure. So with main guy was extremely avoidant. Just a very avoidant personality type, you know. They're super, super engaged, super, super this, super, super on, super, super this, and then just kind of disappears for periods of time. And because I'm kind of avoidant too, I have a high tolerance for avoidant people. Also, because I am a survivor of childhood neglect and trauma, that also leaves me to have a high tolerance for neglectful and avoidant people. And so, um, what I've learned through looking and examining different things within myself is that either you're going to have to find someone, me myself, have to find someone who has a secure attachment style or find someone who is avoidant, or if they are avoidant, but they have to be able to meet you in the middle. They have to be willing to, um, meet some of the desires of someone who wants that constant connection or who wants a consistent connection and who isn't super, super avoidant, because that will be definitely the lifeblood of a relationship is that connection. And you can't just kind of like retreat into yourself and be totally avoidant. It's just not conducive to a healthy relationship. So, I've thought about those things, and I think that, as someone who has more of an anxious attachment style, kind of just communicating exactly what you need and being clear about what you feel like you need is very important, because no one really has an opportunity to meet those needs if you don't communicate them, and so that takes a lot of courage. That takes vulnerability. And some of that anxiousness is just not wanting to be vulnerable because of fears. And I think everybody has fears. And of course, people who are not survivors of childhood trauma have fears. But when you are a survivor of childhood trauma and complex PTSD, your fear of vulnerability is heightened to the maximum to where it's kind of debilitating and it's hard to really make traction in your life because you don't want to put yourself out there and just all kinds of stuff. And um, putting up with avoidant partners probably longer than you need to has a lot to do with just avoiding that feeling of abandonment that, those who have those issues, from childhood, you just don't want to stir that kind of stuff up. So, what I'm really focused on a lot is really strengthening these areas that I have found to be weak, have found to be underdeveloped, that I have found to be fragile, very fragile, and very um, disruptive to a healthy lifestyle, the healthy lifestyle that I want to live, and the types of connections that I want to make with people. Because this isn't even just about romantic partners. This is also about business partnerships and friendships and families and family relationships. Um, these these connection styles can affect all areas of life. So it's definitely something that I'm looking on strengthening. I will be sharing tools that I'm finding, that work for me, and I'll touch on one of them today that I've been using for the past maybe 2 weeks or so that has been extremely helpful. And I will link to the woman's channel that I've discovered this information on. It took me, this woman kept popping up for me. It just took me a really long time to um, really listen, because a lot of the like rage and stuff like that, I wasn't experiencing any of that. I'm not really like a rageful person. That is not how my, trauma manifests. A lot of, but what I've come to discover is that there's different, responses. You have fight, you have flight, you have fawn, and you have freeze. Well, usually my response is to freeze and to shut down, or to just like, you know, that's a lot of time. Or just like, yeah, just freeze, like procrastinate, be confused, not move on things that I know, um, not make adequate traction, or just generally be stagnated. And that's like some manifestation of this freezing phenomenon. So once I could kind of get past that and understand, like, okay, it doesn't matter. I can look past this whole rage thing, because I may not be raging, but I may be totally frozen. It's still a trauma. It's still a trauma response nonetheless. So you can still take the same tools to heal the trauma on a deeper level, um, regardless of what your response is. So if you fawn, if you flee the situation, because I think that's what's free, fight, uh, fight, fawn, flee, or freeze. So whatever your response is to stressors, you can still use the same tools to balance yourself out and try to heal your central nervous system. I've always known my kind of like my central nervous system is like totally fried. It is. It's totally fried, and I've known that. And there's different things that I've done over the years to kind of nourish that system. But what I've definitely learned, and it's so hard and trying to explain these things to therapists, because when you have a neurological response to certain things, because you've had continuous like childhood trauma, it does affect your neurology. It does affect how your brain is wired. It does affect how you respond to stress. You know what I mean? And it's something that happened in your developmental years. If you've been exposed to extreme violence the way I have before the age of 5, well, guess what? Your personality and your neurological pathways and all of that are being developed at a very young age. And so when you are exposed to extreme situations and extreme stressors as a very young child for a prolonged period of time, I just had to kind of just recognize these things. Excuse me. I was thinking to myself today, I'm different, like, and not that other people don't have other challenges, but I'm definitely have a unique set of challenges. Um, and it's just like if I were to have a prosthetic leg, something happened to my leg and it's just not there, and now I got a prosthetic leg. I might walk different. I may not be able to walk as fast as somebody else. I may not be able to keep up or whatever. I'm going to move around in the world differently because of my experience. I lost my leg, right? And so because of this uh childhood trauma, I move different. Okay, I move different. I move differently. It may take me a longer time to get things, or it may take me a longer time to get things done. eh, Challenges with relationships, it could be a myriad of things. But just because I have this difference of being doesn't mean that I'm just going to lay down in the world and just not try and just not live anymore or just give up. You know, it, and it's the same. Like I would probably still, try to do races or work out and do all the other things that I did. If I didn't have a leg, I would still want to live my life. I would still want to live my life, even if I have a prosthetic leg. I still want to live my life, even though I have complex PTSD, even though I'm a survivor of childhood trauma. I want to live a good life. I want to live the best life I can. And I want to go as far as I can go with what I have. You know what I mean? I want to strengthen every other area of myself, regardless of what has happened in the past. So that helps me wrap my mind around how I want to move forward. And I was so happy, even though you're like, oh, yay, way more work to do. Woohoo. But I'll tell you this, I was happy. I really was happy to discover new areas of my life that I can work on developing, that I can put some energy into because, I was getting to this point where it's like, gosh, I feel like I've done all the things. I've done all the things. I've done therapy for on and off for years. I've done inner child work. I've gone on retreats. I've gone and climbed mountains. I've meditated. I've done all the things, all the things. And I'm still not quite where I want to. Like, there's still major, 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 major problems. There's still major blockages. There's still major, things that I want to address, that I want to ascend past, that I want to really remedy. And I'm glad that now I kind of know where to start. I know where to go. I know, you know what I mean? Like, what is the next phase of my healing gonna look like? Now I can look at this attachment style stuff. Um I can look at my triggers, because I I would have never really said I have triggers. I can think of one. I can think of a trigger. Like I can think of a trigger. It's kind of like too personal to share on here. Um but I could think of like one trigger that I had for sure, but I never have felt um safe enough with any partner ever in my life to tell them, "Hey, this thing is a trigger for me." I never have, and I aspire to that. I aspire to have someone that I feel safe enough with, um, and that of course, not like, "Hi, my name is Afrocentric Woman. Here are my triggers." No, not like that, but that I can actually develop a relationship with, and perhaps share little things over time and just see how they do with those. And if that goes okay, then I can share more. But, I think it would be really healthy for me to get to a point to trust some partner enough to be like, hey, this thing right here is a trigger for me. And I might respond like this. And this is what you need to do if I do that. And this is how we can avoid, that kind of a thing, because that is a level of vulnerability and uh maturity in the relationship that I don't know that I've ever had. But I think I can do it. I think I can do it, and I think it would be incredibly uh healing for me to get to that place. All right, let me tell you about one of the things that I have been doing that has helped a lot. There's something I discovered called the daily practice. And this daily practice is on this woman's website called the Crappy Childhood Fairy. You may have heard of her. I'd heard her talking about this daily practice a lot, and I never really took the time to look into it, but I finally did because I got the time, y'all. Anyway, the daily practice goes something like this. It's something that you do twice a day. It's something that you do twice a day, and it's a writing exercise and a meditation exercise. So you get a notebook and or a scratch piece of paper, and you write and on the paper um your fears and resentments. So you when you resent something, you resent an institution or a person, and then you go right into fears. So you might say, um, I resent the cashier at Walmart. I fear that she double charged me. I fear that I paid too much money for this item. I fear that I'm going to run out of money before the end of the month. I fear that I'm going to be poor. I fear that I can't earn enough money. I fear that I'm a worthless loser, whatever. You just kind of like, you just do this stream of consciousness, sort of like a brain dump of like all these fears. It could be small fears like, I'm afraid I'm going to chip my toe on the da 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 da. Or it could be a big fear, like I fear that I'm a horrible mother. My child is going to, hate me for the rest of their life, or, say that I failed them. It could be something small, big, or anywhere in between. So it's I resent a person or institution, and I fear that. So you don't really kind of go into I resent so and so because um I resent, let's say, my sister Carol because she talked behind my back to my mom about me. It would be I resent Carol. I fear that she talked behind my back to my mother. I fear that now they think that I'm not a good person. I fear that they're bonding more than me. I fear that they are excluding me. I fear that I'm always excluded. I fear that I'm an outcast. I fear that no one will ever understand me. And so it's just this cascade. You just allow all of the fears to just flow, flow, flow out on the paper. Then, after you finish the paper, after you kind of finish the stream of consciousness, just the brain dump of all the fears and resentments, you sign off on this letter. And you could do one of two ways. Y'all know I'm special, and y'all know I'm extra, and y'all know I'm different. So I decided to do both sign offs. Okay. So one sign off is if you are, more spiritual, you could just say, I release these fears and resentments into the universe. I am now free. If you are more religious or believing in God, you could say, God, please uh, remove these fears and resentments from me, and show me, your will for me today. And then you sign sincerely your name, sincerely Afrocentric woman. And then after you finish this process, you tear this stream of consciousness paper up into little pieces and you just discard it. You throw it away. You could burn it. You could just flush it down the toilet. You could throw it in the trash, whatever. But it's not a journal. It's not anything that's meant to be kept. It's not anything that's meant to be necessarily widely shared. It's really just to just get it out of your head, get it on a paper, and then have this physical ritual of destroying these things so that, literally they can be removed from you. The first couple days I did it, it was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm one of those people who I like to try things. Like I'll try 1,000 things to like get to be well. I will try if it's not illegal or if it's not going to hurt me, I will likely try it if it can help me. So I was like, I really not feeling anything. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but I'm just going to keep doing it because Other people are saying it's helping them. I'm in desperate need of help. I'm going to just try it and just see how it goes. And so I'm glad I did, because just as I went on, I literally did feel better. My mind felt clearer. Um just so much like I just feel like I'm able to get through the day a little bit better. And I'm understanding dysregulation, and I'm understanding just the fried nature of, the central nervous system, and however way my brain is wired, or however way the brain receives injury from like early trauma. Like, there are certain things that children are just literally not supposed to be exposed to, because they don't have the capacity to process a lot of things like extreme violence or abuse or neglect. And so your mind just kind of like makes up a way to survive. And there's a lot of things that you do to survive a very terrible situation as a child, that by the time you become an adult, these survivor skills are counterintuitive to your, you know, a productive life as an adult, where you can effectively communicate, connect with people, make progress on your goals, to be consistent, to be focused, um, to be self-actualized, to be confident, um, and those kinds of things. And so when you can get into a stressful situation and all these things start firing off in a way that is just, it's not productive, when you're a survivor of trauma, that's where you kind of have to, like, it's not anxiety. And I think that's why I was having a really hard time explaining myself to therapists, because this whole area of complex PTSD, or childhood PTSD, is not fully all the way understood, because you kind of get shoved into a box of anxiety or shoved into a box of depression. And you might have symptoms of anxiety and depression, but that isn't necessarily, like, depression is more like a brain chemistry thing, right? It's more like brain chemistry usually. And anxiety can also be brain chemistry as well. It could also be hormonal imbalance. It could also be those types of things. So usually I would fail like a traditional anxiety test. I would usually fail it. Like, do you worry about these things? Are you worried about this? Do you fear this? Are you scared of that? Usually I would probably like not qualify as anxious, because I don't really worry about things that much. I have this like mostly laid back attitude of go with flow and stuff like that. So that wouldn't work. And like, I don't always necessarily feel depressed either. I've had periods of depression for sure, but that's not always the best. That isn't always the best description of what's going on anyway. But this one actually makes more sense, because when I feel stressed, I feel it in my body. I feel pain in my chest. I feel on edge. I feel like, not necessarily that something bad is about to happen, like something bad, imminently bad is about to happen to me, which most people with traditional anxiety symptoms would say, yes, I feel like something bad is about to happen, or I'm always afraid that something bad is about to happen. A little bit, but I don't truly resonate with that. But I would feel in my body that I am on edge, as though something is about to happen, or though something is happening to me, or that kind of a thing. And so that's really like a neurological, like physiological response to a stressor that can't necessarily fit nicely in an anxiety box. It can't fit nicely into a depression box. It's this complex neurological thing that's going on. So kind of like having metacognition of this phenomenon, and then having additional tools to say, you know what? I have to nourish my central nervous system. I have to like work on rewiring my brain and responding to stressors. And affirmations are great, but I need more tools than affirmations. And um I need additional things to, to do. And like, yes, the underlying beliefs, but you know what? I had to discover new underlying beliefs that were in the subconscious that I wasn't even aware of, right? Like, if I tell him if I tell him that I am only looking for commitment right now, I will run him away. That's an underlying belief that is not necessarily true. Or if it's true, that's exactly what you want to do, right? If that's what you're trying to do, you would want to run away people who are not in alignment with what you're trying to get. But if you're, kind of operating on some of these things on uh from a subconscious level, then they will definitely stress you out, because there's all these things that need to be said, but they are not being said. You know, another underlying another underlying um, belief that I had to kind of like bring to light was something along the lines of, if I'm super, super cool and chill and relaxed and act like I don't care about X, Y, and Z thing, then that will draw X, Y, and Z person closer to me. Like, I'll just be the super, super chill person, that nonchalant person that doesn't care. And that's also like not true. Because ultimately, adults, people are going to do what they're going to do. And it doesn't really matter how cool and pleasant you are. That isn't necessarily going to make people's behavior change, or their how they're acting change, or whatever. So that's just a couple of examples, but I'm discovering more of these underlying beliefs and things that are kind of like looming in the subconscious, bringing them to the conscious, and then replacing them with healthier belief systems, and with healthier, like, just knowledge and truth of, like, no, this really is what it is. And now that I'm getting a lot of clarity, I have a list written down that I'm going to refine a little bit, but I've got a really, really good start. I have a list of exactly the most important aspects of what I would see that I would want in a husband. And I'm so glad that I took the time to write this down, because there's a lot of guys at this point that I just literally would not entertain. Maybe they would be fun or nice or wealthy or something, but I may not entertain them because it's not fitting. I have a couple. I mean, I have another category of just level up only. Like, if you cannot fit into this potential husband box, the only other box that you can fit into is a level up box. If you cannot fit into either one of those boxes, I can't deal with you at all. I don't have the time. I'm not going to say I broke up with a guy, but I cut things off with a guy. I went out on 2 dates with him. We were supposed to go out again this Friday. I called him yesterday and I was like, it took a lot out of me, but I'm very proud of myself. Because usually I kind of just like let things run the course, or, you know, I don't know. I'm much more vigilant with my time now, that I'm more clear about exactly what I want and what I'm doing. So I called him up and we chit chatted for a while, and I told him, I was like, I don't think that we are a good fit, and I don't think we should continue seeing one another. And he was like, "Oh, why? Did I do anything wrong?" And I said, "Well, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I just think that we're not the best fit, and blah blah blah." And I told him, I said, I think I'm too much of a princess for you. And I do believe that. I do believe that. I believe that I'm too much of a princess for him. Like, he can't fit into my potential husband box, and he can't fit into the level up box. I don't there's like no there's no reason for him to Like, I don't have the time or the patience or the desire to deal with him because he's dissatisfied with the amount of time that I can give him, but he also won't pay for a babysitter. So maybe I mean, I had arranged something for Friday to see him, but I just knew at the end of the day, because I was only going to be able to see him for like an hour and a half. I knew at the end of the day he was going to complain that it wasn't enough time. And I was dreading hearing that, especially considering that you have not lifted a finger to help me in any way, shape, or form. Yes, you pay for food and drinks, but for me, that is so the bare minimum. That doesn't, like, for me, like, I'm sure there's some woman in the world that is elated that you'll pay for her food and drinks. But for me, I'm way past that. I don't care that you like, and there's men who don't even know my nothing about me who pay for my food and drinks. Random guys in the bar. I can go to a random bar and sit down and some guy will pay for my food and drinks. So that to me is not like courting. That's not like really like you're willing to like go in and like put some skin in the game and put some investment into the game to pursue me type of energy that you want to pay for my food and drinks. Who doesn't want to pay for my food and drinks? So the fact that you know I'm struggling to get a babysitter and you know that I'm like sacrificing time and it just like whatever you do, whatever a guy does, I probably do 10 to 15 to 20 times more work to become to put myself in a place and time than you do. You like slick your hair back, you throw on some jeans and a t-shirt. I have a whole lot of things else I have to do, okay, including secure my child somewhere and all the other da, 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 da. It's a lot. And so if you're going to be dissatisfied with the amount of time that I'm able to give and not really understanding the true like energy investment that I'm putting into the situation, and also you fall outside of my age range and also you fall outside of my like like I'm not considering guys who've been like divorced within 2 years. Like I'm back on that. Okay, I started off on that a long time ago and I kind of laxed off on it, but I'm back on that again, okay? I'm not interested in you if you've been divorced within 2 years, okay? And I'm not interested in you if you are going back and forth with your baby mama. I'm not interested in you if you're going back and forth with your ex-girlfriend trying to figure out your life. I'm not interested in that, okay? Because I'm clear and I'm clear-minded, and so I require that level of clarity for someone that I'm gonna be dealing with. Okay, so that's that. So you're like not a good candidate for the potential husband category, and because you are like complaining about money and like being stingy and stuff like that, you also don't qualify for the level of category. So therefore, there's no room in the inn. I'm so sorry. I can't do it. I literally can't do it. It feels very liberating to be crystal clear about that. And maybe that's what happens when you just have done all the things and you've just dated, different kind of guys and you've had different experiences and you just kind of are able to just just hone in on exactly what you want now that you've experienced quite a few things, you've gone places, you've done things, and you're like, okay, now I know what I want. Now I know, and that definitely is not what I want. Whew, sorry y'all, that's kind of a bit of a brain dump. So yeah, I just wanted to give you an example of someone who I had to release. There was another guy who kind of fired himself. I think I told y'all that last time I talked to y'all. Yeah. The last video I did, I told you that guy, the narky guy um who gave me a gift and then he said the gift was like a loan or something. I don't know, but I don't take loans from men, so that would never happen. But yeah, he doesn't fit into any of the he doesn't fit into either of the categories either. And so now I can look at the situation on paper and know even if it makes sense for me to even entertain the person at all. Right now, I have two guys that I'm talking to. Well, there's more, but there's 2 that have my main that have my main interest, and they fit very firmly in the level up category. They do not fit into the potential husband category. But, one's an attorney and one's a real estate investor, and I'm gonna be seeing both of them this week. I saw the real estate investor, um, earlier this week, and I did not ask him for a gift, but he brought me a gift to our date. I did not ask. He just brought it, and I like that kind of energy, okay? I like it. I like a man who shows me some initiative. So he was so happy to give me the gift too. He got me this it's like this obscenely expensive candle from Neiman Marcus. I I was kind of like I was talking to my friend because I was like, "Girl, he gave me this expensive candle from Neiman Marcus. Why?" Like I wanted I don't know. Like I'm like I would have rather had some Chanel sunglasses or something like that. Like why did he buy this candle? And she was like, "Girl, just don't worry about it. Like you're probably gonna get something more. Like don't make a big deal about it." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess you're right." And like just the energy of all of that, like I'm about to like kind of do some upgrades like within my home space and stuff like that. I was like, there's no better way than to feel like a rich bitch than to burn a fucking expensive ass candle in your house, right? Like, does it get richer than that? So I was like, you know what? I think that this candle is going to be just fine. um it's cool, and it was a nice gesture. He was like, "I just don't know your taste. I don't know you yet, da 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 da." And then my friend was like, "Well, at least you know where he shops." And I was like, "You know what? You are right." So he's going to be taking me to the spa this weekend, and we're going to have brunch, and then he's going to take me shopping. So I'm going to be able to show him my taste when we go shopping, and we're going to exchange this candle because the candle was chipped when I opened it. um I don't know how that happened because it seemed like it was packaged pretty well, but we'll exchange that. He wanted to take me to Neiman Marcus to do that, and I'll probably pick up a few other things while I'm there. So that's that. Then the attorney guy, I'm going to be having lunch with him this week, conveniently near Nordstrom, so I can go in there and get some stuff. And he's cool. He fits very nicely into the level up. He fits very nicely into the level up category. Now, I'll say this about the conventional wisdom on this husband quest. Now, there's definitely going to be a school of thought that says, hey, if you're looking for a husband, you can't entertain anybody else or anything else. And there's not going to be room in your life for a husband to come in if you've got all this stuff going on. Well, I think that there's some validity to that argument. I'm not going to say it's just, totally irrelevant or anything like that. I think there's validity to that argument. However, the way I see it in my mind is that I am organized and I'm intentional about what I am doing. Another thing that I'm doing is I have been continuously decluttering, and I will be doing as much probably well into April. Hopefully by April, I will be kind of like, much more advanced with my decluttering. Like I'm shredding papers, I'm selling things, I'm donating things, I'm throwing things away. I'm just making space in my life because I'm thinking in my mind to be light, right? Because of course, I would never have a man move in with me. I'm likely going to be moving or getting a new house or something along those lines. So you think about, what do you really love? What would you really take into a new home when you get ready to go? Or like if you have a potential suitor that you're dealing with and you get to the point where you want to invite them to your home, if they come into your home, what do you want them to think about you as a woman? How would they see you functioning in a home as a wife. That's how I look at it. And so that's how I look at it when it comes to decluttering, even in every aspect of life. So like decluttering things out of my business that don't work, that are not serving me, decluttering stuff, paperwork that I don't need, decluttering clothes that don't are not flattering to me, decluttering um footwear that is not flattering, decluttering all the things that are just like not really in alignment with like the woman who I am and the woman who I'm becoming. To me, in my mind, the way my mind functions is like all of that is setting me up to be in the type of relationship that I want. And I also am crystal clear about who that is. It's just like I'm not just sitting on the sidelines until he comes. Until he comes, until I find him, I got my level up people over here, okay, that are showing me at a fabulous time, you know, taking me to the spa, taking me out to eat, taking me shopping. And it's a mutual exchange, okay? We are mutually enjoying each other's company and it is all good. Furthermore, with the level up people, there are certain things that I have access to that I would not have access to otherwise, okay? So, I think it all works in a symphony. I think it's all kind of, harmoniously working together. I'm also open to the fact that if it's not, I will change course. How many times have I changed course in this freaking channel? Okay. When I'm doing something that doesn't work, I change course. So I'm not committed to this path like it has to be like this, it has to be like this. But this is what I'm trying right now. This is what I'm trying right now. This is what I'm on. This is what I'm doing. This is my strategy. And we're going to see how it works. I will keep y'all posted. I'll keep y'all updated on it. And I will let you know. There's one guy who I'm interested in who actually fits my potential husband. I mean, like down to the net worth. I have a net worth requirement. It's multi-million dollar that I would prefer for a husband. This man checks all the boxes, okay? He checks all my boxes. He's the age, he ain't got no kids, he ain't never been married, he's a multimillionaire, da 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 da. Da. He checks all the boxes. Would I love to entertain him as a potential husband? I absolutely would like to date him. But my concern with him is that he is avoidant, and I do not want to get into another situation with an avoidant man. I didn't did that, okay? My main guy, my ex main guy was a lovely man, treated me like a princess. I cannot this man has spoiled me, child. I don't even like that's why I couldn't date the other guy. Like I'm officially spoiled. I can't if you cannot do what this man did for me, I cannot deal with you. I'm not interested. Okay, this man treated me like a princess. He gave me everything I wanted, darn near. He just did all the things, gentlemanly, just all the things. Never yelled at me, never, ever, ever called me on my name, never criticized me, never just just a good just we had a very no drama relationship. The only problem is that he's very avoidant and disappears from time to time. But I have absolutely no complaints about the way this man treated me. I have no complaints about the way that this man treated me. So, anyway, what the heck was I saying? Okay, so my issue with him is that he was avoidant. So this other guy that he's on my radar. He disappeared. He just contacted me, I think, over the weekend. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." Um, that I didn't we had one date. We had a lunch date. I don't know if I told y'all about it or not. I don't remember. We had a lunch date. It was fabulous. It was amazing. I think I did tell y'all because I told him about this restaurant and it's like a pretty high-end restaurant. He was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for mentioning this restaurant. Like, I love this place and I haven't been in such a long time." And he just went on and on about it. He just went on and on about being so happy that I chose this relationship. And I remember telling y'all, I was like, "Hey, listen, some guys, when they cannot afford a place and you try to suggest a certain restaurant and they call you a gold digger or they call you this, that, and a third, it's because they can't afford it. That ain't really where they kick it. You have to find a man that does the things that you want to do anyway on his own. So I do think I told y'all about that lunch date. Anyway, it went really, really well. He texted me, I think either that night or the next day, and he was like, "Oh my God, I really enjoyed our lunch." And he was like, "I know that I said I wanted something casual, but I really like you and I would like to talk about something deeper with you." That's what he said. And I texted him back. I was like, "Hey, yeah, I really enjoyed lunch. Sure, I'd love to talk more about it. I'm available next week at this time and that time." I didn't hear from him. So I sent him like Happy New Year. I didn't hear from him. I didn't hear from him until literally this weekend. Okay, it's what, the 20 something. What day was Saturday? Let me see. The 21st. So that's like 3 weeks. Like if I reached out on New Year's Day and I don't hear from you until the 21st, that's 3 weeks. Like I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel too good about that. He checks a lot of the boxes on paper, but for me right now, I do not want I don't want to bond with an avoidant partner. I don't want that in my life, like that avoidant energy. I'm just not into it. I want someone who is consistent and who has the emotional capacity to show up. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to show up perfect or show up amazing, but consistently showing up and being present is something that I require. So if he is going to be on this disappearing act and reappearing, I've already did that. Okay. I did that with my ex main guy and I did that for a year. Disappear, come back, go shopping, disappear, here's some money, I'm back. Okay, like I like the money part, but the disappearing part I don't like. So I believe that I can have money and presence, okay? Money and presence at the same damn time, okay? So that's all I'm really interested in right now. I don't want to be playing no duck duck goose, hide and go seek. Where's Waldo? I'm not finna do this with y'all, okay? I'm not finna to do this with you. If you disappearing Waldo, stay on my DM, stay on my inbox, stay off my phone. I'm not interested. So that's that. Yeah, I think that's all my update. Um Hey, unknown, you don't need a complainer, you need a problem solver. Yes, I don't remember what that comment was to, but yes, that is absolutely true. A problem solver. Oh, you might have been talking about the guy that I had to dismiss. Yeah. Yeah, he's not a good candidate to be on my to be in my life at all. He's not a good candidate. I think, because I'm trying to explore this idea of emotional availability and secure attachment style. I think that's why I was willing to kind of like because I was going to cut him off after the first date. Um because after the first date, I mentioned he wanted to do something. I think he was like, "Oh, let's meet up for drinks. Oh, let's go to dinner. Oh, let's go to do this and this and that." And I told him, I said, "Well, we just had Christmas and I had to get a lot of stuff for my daughter. In fact, I still need to get her a bike." That's what I told him. I said, "I need to get her a bike this weekend." And so I'm kind of tapped out. I would definitely go to dinner with you. I just, if I had a babysitter. And his response to me was something along the lines of, "Well, if we get closer or if we get da 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 da, then I can see us working something out." Listen, my ex main guy, we had our first date. It was cool. Then we went to dinner. We had a great time at dinner. It was like this really beautiful restaurant up on this like top floor of this like high rise building, and we just da 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 da. We're having our dinner, and then I was like, well, I guess I got to go get pick up my little one from the babysitter. He was like, what? You got a babysitter? He just opened up his wallet and he started putting cash in my hand. So, and I did not ask him, and so that is like, you know, that's like my wiring. That's what I'm used to dealing with. I'm just used to dealing with men that just like take care of those kinds of things without complaining about them, or telling or looking to me like, "Oh, well, you figure it out. You need to figure out how you're going to get to me to entertain me. You need to figure out how you're going to do that because I need you to entertain me." And that's the energy that I got. He told me something like, another thing, like after we had that I told him that I would hang out with him this coming weekend, although I canceled that. He said something to me along the lines of like, "I never get to see you that long. It's not a very long time." And um he said something like, "Well, I just don't know when we're going to be able to get to any type of intimacy. And if we ever do, I just want to let you know that I'm only going to be focused on you. I mean, I'm pretty much only focused on you right now, but definitely by the time intimacy comes, I'll just be focused on you." So this is the thing. Okay. You think the big leverage piece, you think that the big thing that you're going to give me to solicit me to be intimate with you is focusing on me? Boy, bye. I do not give a F about, I mean, I do. That's cool, but that is so not enough. That is not a motivating factor for me. Oh, well, you definitely want to be intimate with me because if you do, I'll focus on you. Focus what? Your attention? Blowing up my phone? Blowing up my inbox? Okay, like I don't have to be intimate with somebody for them to focus on me. Like that's not an even exchange. You're not telling me anything tangible about how my life is going to be different or better if I were to get close to you. You're just telling me anyway. Y'all, there's multiple reasons why he just didn't make the cut. He just didn't make the cut, y'all. My gosh. So anyway, as I continue on this journey of exploring just healing my trauma a little bit more and nourishing my central nervous system, and you know working on introducing positive things to my neuroplasticity and all of those things. I will share any other tools that I learn about, and I will share how things are going. I will give you updates. I'm thinking that I'm going to schedule the um the dating guidelines video that I promised a long time ago to you ladies. I'm thinking I'm going to schedule it sometime this weekend. I just need to kind of take a look, maybe Saturday, because I'm going to be with a real estate developer like earlier in the weekend, but I'm thinking that by Saturday night I should be able um to do it. I'll see. I'll see. I also need to take iron because I'll be tired, y'all. So I'm going to do some iron tonight, and I'm going to do magnesium, and I'm going to do turmeric. Um, it's just a way to just nourish my body and my mind, so that I can just kind of rebuild myself physically. And I know, I know because of other things that I do, like that is definitely a way to support yourself, like your emotional well-being and your mental well-being, is to take care of your physical, because everything is it's intertwined, it's like integrated. And um when it comes to like the childhood trauma stuff, and I think anxiety, other aspects of anxiety, it's like when you're deficient, it it sort of sets off this trauma response, right? Like that you don't have enough, that like you're at a deficit. And that could just be like a deficit of iron or deficit of some type of mineral that your body really truly needs. And if you're operating on E, or you're operating on a deficit physically, it can trigger emotional and neurological and psychological response of like, trauma or anxiety, depression, or some other type of mood disorder. Anyway, I say all that to say that I'm going to do all the things. I've been drinking my water today. I'm about to do my turmeric. I'm about to do my iron. I'm about to do my magnesium. I'm about to do my daily practice. I already did my one for the morning. And do y'all know what I'm doing? I did the daily practice for my daughter for 2 days in a row. And I think it's good for her. Like, I'm so grateful that I'm able to give her these tools now. She's not going to have a whole shit ton of stuff to unpack when she's an adult. Um, like, all the, like, I'm literally, I was like, what are your, like, I'm writing everything down for her. But I told her, eventually you're going to write this yourself. And she keeps saying, like, she did it yesterday. She's like, I'm mad at, she's like, I'm angry at mommy, blah blah blah. And then she's like, I'm angry at mommy. I'm like, who else? I'm angry at mommy. I was like, you ain't angry at your daddy. Maybe that's me being petty, but I'm just like, why? I'm the parent that's here. I'm the parent that's here. Why am I getting all the anger? Okay, and it's, I'm not trying to say it to like, I didn't try to say it to her to have like, this judgmental response, because it's supposed to be a free flow of thought. But I was just like, do you have any anger towards your daddy? Like, girl, come on now. Please, let's spread the anger out. Okay. Like, I'm the mama. I'm here day in and day out, taking care of you. Why am I getting all the anger? But I mean, that's in alignment with how life goes. The absentee parent usually gets idealized by the child, and the parent who stays gets the brunt of all the anger and the resentment. It's very unfortunate, but that's very common when the child experiences abandonment from one of the parents. The parent who stays uh, gets the anger and the resentment, unfortunately. But in a very like nuanced way, like I was able to say, like, hey, like, let me pull this out of you. Like, I'm sensing that there's misdirected anger, probably on me. Okay. Some of that anger is legitimate. Some of it's probably directed. Tell me about what you're angry with your dad. Okay. Let's make sure we include that on here. And so I think that it's good that she won't have to idealize the missing parent, and she can just have a clear mind about what's going on in an age appropriate way, because she's getting a little older now, so I'm definitely exposing her to more. And kind of, she said something along the lines today like, well, I'm angry at daddy, I fear, because I told you it's like I resent and then I fear, but she doesn't really know what resent it means. So I just say I'm angry, and she understands anger, so she's able to articulate what she wants to say. She's just like, I'm angry at daddy, I fear that he will never be a good dad. I fear that he makes promises that he doesn't keep. And then that was that. And then we moved on to, I'm angry at mommy because she won't let me play my toys or whatever. But but yeah, I think that's super super healthy for her to start getting those feelings out now, so that she doesn't have to be burdened with this situation so much. Um I just want her to understand expectations of a man. Then she had to kind of put two and two together and be like, wow, my dad is not, he's not making the cut. He's not living up to these standards. He's not living up to these things that we expect from men. Now, by the time she's too young to like be involved with my dating life, I don't involve her in my dating like at all. So if I get flowers or if I get gifts or if I do this or that or the third, she doesn't really know where the stuff is coming from. If she were older, I would tell her, but I think by the time she will be old enough for me to have those conversations with her, I'll already be married. But I don't mind backtracking and being like, "Hey, do you remember when you were this little girl, and you remember when I had those big bouquet of flowers? Do you remember when I had that new bag? Do you remember when I went out of town and da 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 da?" All that was provided for, all that was provided for men. And so, do you see how I dated? This is how I expect for you to date. Okay. Like, child, call me Marjorie Harvey, but I have expectations of my child. and nothing less. Okay, we're not about to be frolicking around in the dust bowl and coming up with dusty situations. It's just ain't gonna happen. Your mama know too much. Your mama done been through too much. Your mama's too experienced, and your mama is willing to hold your hand and walk you through everything that you need to do. And all the mistakes that you make, I ain't gonna judge you, but I'm here to get you right back on the path that you need to go. My child, I'm telling y'all, she is going to be so gorgeous. Okay, in a brick house like her mama. So I definitely need to make sure that she is utilizing her beauty and her intellect and her charisma and all of the things that she has to get what she wants in life. That's part of my job. I got to get you to adulthood in one piece. I got to get you on the right path, and I need you to understand your worth. I need you to understand how to yield and how to extract from this world what you need to extract with what you have. Your beauty, your intellect, all of it. How y'all like that for a tangent? I'm gone. Oh God. Okay, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate catching up with y'all. I'm about to go do the nourishment things, and we will talk very soon. I will do my very, very best to schedule that dating guidelines live stream for this weekend sometime, okay? All right, y'all. Peace and love. Bye.